Hey everyone, it's Sonia here. Thank you so much again for joining us. This is episode 146. And for those that are catching us on YouTube, you know that this is a heart to heart, whether you've stumbled across it or you were given the link or you've been following this page for a while. Heart to hearts mean we have a video component which gets posted on YouTube at the same time as the audio gets released. So you can listen to this on your favorite listening platforms as well. We have another special guest with us, and that's what heart to heart means. It means we're sitting there having conversation with a friend and including you into this dialogue. So as you're going about doing your day, I want you to join James and I today. James is from North Wales, UK. He is the second gentleman I have on my show, and you're gonna love his story. He's gonna fill us in as he does his intro. I'm gonna probe him along and ask a little bit of questions. But the couple things I've learned about James so far, there is a major ripple effect in everything we do in life. And it starts off with our tenacity and our desire to never give up, not just as entrepreneurs, but as people. So, James, take it away. Can you introduce yourself for us, please?
Thank you for the wonderful introduction, Sonia. I'm a two-time Paralympian, TEDx speaker, author, performance and success coach. I'm going to forget something here because there's so many that I've obviously got to my name. But my beginning is obviously I was born with a disability. So you talked about tenacity. I've got to probably thank my family for that in terms of that perseverance, that dedication to the craft of I'll coin the word stubborn, because that's what we will call it. That's we inherently don't like the word no in terms of I think as my younger self, especially as a preteen and a teenager, it was almost to prove people wrong. Whereas now, it's very much trying to prove myself right. As if it's a worthy cause. I'm not just trying to spite somebody. It's something that I want to do. So there's almost like more of positive vibe about it. So it's more what because when people have asked, be it clients, customers, and say, "Oh, can I lean into negative energy?" It's like, well, you can, but I wouldn't choose to do it personally now. Now that I've kind of got the other side of it, if I can do it through being kind, being caring, self-care, self-love, and having empathy to myself and other people, I'd rather do that than kind of going down the route that we talked about off air of I had a teacher in secondary school say I would amount to nothing. I've pretty much disproved that statement in just the introduction alone. But I did dip into negative energy as an athlete to utilize when I was unmotivated and maybe lacked inner strength to get myself off and get after it, to utilize that inner voice of, hey James, you're not good enough. Yeah, I'll get on with it, and I'll train. But what that probably did in terms of energy probably is not ideal. It's dark. I would very much say to people now, as like, well, it's useful at times to get a task done, but then okay, I use meditation and mindfulness quite a lot nowadays to almost hit the reset button. It's like, I've done that task, let's set the equilibrium and then feel a bit better again. So that's probably me in a nutshell. From that, obviously, I resided overseas for 19 years of my life because of more so my mother. She worked for NATO for 33 years exactly. So we lived in Belgium for so long. So I can speak fluent French. I wouldn't try and speak with the Quebecois because that's a different French altogether. But I probably could still understand. And I had a French Canadian client that I did a sales call in French, so I was quite impressed with myself to be able to, well, let alone make the sale, but as in to feel him, make him at ease that, hey, your English is not as good as you would like. I'm more than I wasn't comfortable, but as in I was more than competent in my own language skills to kind of go, I'll do something that's inherently difficult for me, but if it's going to make you feel at ease, I'm okay. I had to go off and do a lot of research in terms of like what's this specific word in French, because it's not being lazy and putting like le weekend and things like that, but to literally kind of go, okay, I want this, but and make it as natural for him and for me that I can make the experience as pleasurable as possible. So that it showcased to me that, hey, you, if you wanted to, you've got another bow to the arrow that I probably never thought I would establish from that.
Well, there's a couple things to be said there. And the first thing I want to start off with saying is, moi aussi, je parle un petit peu de français. Mon français est québécois, though. I did learn French growing up. I did French immersion, and my mother's from Quebec. So the French we're taught in school is Parisian. The French you learn on the streets and at home is Quebecois. So there's a whole mixed bag in here. And my biggest takeaway with what you said, James, is you're continuously applying to yourself what you can do over and over again.
I don't like the word I can't.
Ha! What is it about the word you can't?
Well, it's not possible. Okay, I had a conversation with somebody that they said I cannot do something anymore. It's like, no. What you're not able to do is your wife doesn't want you to, because he lost his legs, she didn't want him climbing ladders anymore. That's, you're not allowed to do that. That's not the same thing as I cannot. You still got the ability to do it. So what's the word about I cannot? It's very, very negative in the words that it's very dismissive of your own ability of being able to do something, because you almost like dismiss it by putting, I'll put the whole word AONT at the end of can. Whereas if you were to teach a child, and when I seen this on social media, I thought it was amazing. I can't yet.
Yes.
And I think for whatever reason, we get to adolescence and older, we accept other people's either narrative, storyline, beliefs as our own, and then and almost kind of go, well, no, this, I think the way that I think because of, like, well, that's not true. I've obviously had the foresight and the awareness to dip into that, to kind of go, okay. I even had a conversation before my mother went on holiday about something in that nature, because she's implied that, do you think the same way that I do because I have an impressionable position on you? It's like, no, we have the same viewpoint on a specific topic, but I haven't got there because of what of what you've, I use the word indoctrinated in towards my thing. It's like, no, I'm a full grown adult. I can come to the same conclusion. There's going to be some collusion, because ultimately, I'm her son, and I probably would have grown to up to a certain point to mimic. But I think now that I'm 36 years old, it's like, well, no, I'll make a decision based on the university studies that I've had, because that obviously teaches you to be a critical thinker. I probably dipped into that a little bit more now that I've got a coach. So, okay, look at things not for face value, and to if I have a desire to know more, obviously got to go away and learn a bit more, and to kind of go, okay, that's my perspective on it now. But to say in the year's time, 5 years time, to say that I would still have the viewpoint would be somewhat untrue, and it might be the same viewpoint in a year's time. But I think your perspective towards, we before we come on air, we were talking about books. If you were to read an old book again, when your perspective has changed, you would view certain points within it completely differently, because you've evolved as a person. So I think I'm one of those things that I look at it maybe because of my upbringing, maybe because of the disability of the word itself is not great, because obviously it's the inability to have to where I don't have a problem. Some people within disability community can't use it. It's like, it's a word. It's got a different definition in a dictionary. You don't have to comply to it. So I would probably put it in the same light as cannot, as is just a label. It doesn't really mean anything unless you give it the power that it has over you. So I think I've had that understanding. In order to get better as an individual, I've got to be one, accepting of who I am, embracing of what I've done, and at the end of the day, if I don't want to do something versus I cannot do, they're two separate things.
So there's a couple things you mentioned there, very, very empowering, very influential. And can you share with us are you comfortable sharing with us what your
Yeah, no
disability
problem,
is?
no problem at all, no problem. So the acronym for the disability that I've got is PFFD. The medical definition for it is femoral dysplasia. So I'm going to try and give people a visual thing, even the ones
Yeah.
on YouTube can't see it, because I could take the prosthetic off and that's about it. But I don't have a femur bone. I've got a small tibia and fibula, and that's attached to my hip. So there's a well-known Canadian procedure that's called rhinoplasty, where they would literally break the leg, turn it around, and the heel becomes the kneecap.
Oh,
Whereas for me, I couldn't have that done because I was missing too many bones. So what my mum wanted to do for me is, I asked, I think when I was probably about 12 or 13, can you give me all the facts? Okay. For one surgery, does it outweigh having to maybe have multiple surgeries in my 40s, 50s? Nah. I'm going to go with and through being in disability sport, I've seen, gosh, probably tens, if not in the 20s, of people with similar disabilities. Whereas in the early days, it's like, well, I want to be normal like everybody else because I don't see anybody that's like me. Whereas I think obviously we're now in an age that we've got the internet, we've got social media. It's very easy for the younger generation to kind of go, I can see somebody like me. Um, and I like to speak to parents, especially with who have got kids with a disability, to kind of go, you don't need to be so, would use the word morbid, because that's how I would describe my grandmother after the fact, because I spoke to my mother during the height of the pandemic a couple of years ago about how the adversity affected my family, because I was curious. I know obviously it's affected me, but I was like, well, okay, let's go a layer deeper and see how it affected loved ones. And unbeknownst to me, my grandmother's no longer alive. My grandmother was like, "Oh, how's James going to survive? Is he going to be in a wheelchair for us?" She never portrayed that to me personally. I'm thinking,
mm,
wow. And I shared this on a live a couple of years ago, and people were in tears. Like, for me, it's blasé. It's literally, it's something that I've learned 5 minutes ago. I thought I'd share it to give a different perspective on me, and to me, it's nonchalant. It doesn't mean anything, because obviously the person that I knew was the complete opposite. I don't know if it was a facade to kind of go, come on, the sky's the limit for you, James. So for me, when I speak to those parents, it's like, well, who's to say your son or daughter can't achieve far beyond what I've done? So you don't need to be worried. Like, just
yes.
give them the push and the praise and everything that comes with it, to kind of go, hey, so and so, you want to do this? Okay, how about it? You're gonna make mistakes. You're gonna hurt yourself. You're gonna get some scrapes. You're gonna get some bumps. My family did that, threw me to the wolves. I don't mean literally, but as in like figuratively.
Yeah.
It was literally, hey, your disability is difficult, but let's see what you can do. So this probably irritates both my parents. I was a B grade student. They didn't like that because I didn't want to apply myself in the classroom. I'd rather do it in, well, you can see behind me, like the sporting
Yep.
stuff. So we have this argument from time to time, even now. I was like, oh, why don't you apply yourself in the class? Because I didn't want to. I was can't I'll give some people some context. I believed to the stereotypes of films and movies that jocks and the geeks cannot be one person. That's obviously far from the truth. That I think you can probably be literally both if you wanted to be.
Yep.
I would probably never be the salutatorian or valedictorian because I didn't like my books that much. Yes, I probably could have applied myself to, I don't know, maybe B plus, A minus. Is it a regret? No, not now. But as in, just to give the people so for me, when I do speak to the parents, it's like, hey, there's no point coddling somebody or wrapping them up in cotton wool because that's not going to serve the person in the long run. Because, and this is a countryman of yourself. So some people don't like Jordan Peterson. Some people love him. So it's either love-hate relationship. And the video I saw on, I believe, TikTok this week of, he was saying that inherently we've got untapped potential in our DNA. So by facing adversity, we unlock things that we could maybe not imagine. So for me, I went, wow. It's like, so for people that are scared of facing things, you're thinking, what you're almost engaging yourself from what is actually what is full. And I've known that with, you hear things about content towards, you know, what we're fully capable with, like brain capacity, like we only operate, I think it's like 15% of our brain capacity. Thinking, well, what does the other 85 do then? Because if somebody was able
Nothing.
to fully, no, but as in be fully optimize, maybe say 50% more than that, what would you be able to do? So if the adversity creates, you be able to almost rewrite your DNA genome. For me, that kind of, it's kind of excites me. That it's like, okay, so if I lean into something that's hard, that's uncomfortable, that serves me in the long run, and that obviously makes you a different person as a result versus somebody that's undoubtedly fearful versus fearless, and almost withers into a shell, and almost contemplates, well, if I was to do this, I'm gonna get inherently the same thing that's happened over and over again, failure. Obviously, it's an Einstein quote. That's the epitome of insanity. If you did something over and over again, didn't learn from it. So for me, I think that's down to me to the core, as that fearless nature, as, hey, I don't want to be a victim. I don't want your sympathy. I've got no problem embracing your empathy. I didn't used to. I used to hate people when they be empathetic. Oh,
Really?
your inspiration. Because that's probably because of the sport. Because I was able to motivate myself, or it only needed a little bit of a push, somebody pushing a button to kind of go, come on, James, I'm going to push the button that's triggering you and you're going to respond. So when I saw it in other people as well, why do you need me to be your lighthouse, so to speak, the guiding light in the darkness, to give you the impetus to go up? And I've embraced it. It's taken some time to kind of go, okay, if I'm in that leadership role and I can get somebody to get themselves off the canvas, and then they literally being able to wipe the blood off their face and the snot from their nose, okay, I'll take it. But it's taken being the bigger person to kind of go, okay, yeah, I'm more than comfortable to hold that mantle, to be that person. Whereas you didn't, well, we're only talking about probably about 5 years ago. I didn't like it because it's like, well, why can't other people motivate themselves in the way that I can? And then I've obviously done some soul searching. Like, well, maybe some people have not had the family members, the circumstances to be able to get some of these early wins, these little moments of adversity to then, okay, in the grand scheme of things, life is hard, but so what?
We can do hard things, can't we? So you're fearless in nature. You understand completely that growth happens when you get uncomfortable. I wanted to tap in with the fact that I do refer to myself as an athletic geek. I know we were talking before off camera about books, and I never had the chance to indulge you that I have already read 7 books this year in 2023 that I've
Wow.
completed, and I did 31 books last year. And that's not all I do. So
So
go
I
ahead.
got a question for you then, Sonia. Do you know of see if I get this right, Dan Pena, the old guy that's a business guy, curses a lot.
Dawn.
He came out with a, I don't agree with some of the statement, but I'm gonna
Okay.
share it with you and your audience. He said that people that got lower IQs are able to make decisions quicker because they don't have to rationalize the thought process. And be it, I can't remember the podcast that we was on, because the host was an engineer and went, in your line of work, if you make a mistake, it costs people lives. So people are gonna obviously crunch the numbers, and I got, yeah, you are right, because like I see myself dragging my heels on certain things because I'm playing out every scenario before it happens. Whereas it's almost saying that this person that maybe not as smart intellectually is better placed as an entrepreneur. It's like, well, they aren't as well. But he went, it doesn't matter how many books you read, the podcast you listen to, that's not action. When it is a form of action, because you're seeking out wanting to change. So you're going to, probably in this case, maybe motivational podcast, looking to learn,
Yep.
looking to implement something that you want to acquire a skill set. But I think the word that he wants to use is implementation.
Exactly. And so what I've noticed with myself, and especially when I'm coaching, this is layered information, like you were saying, whether it's coming on from another coach, or I'm listening to information, or I'm reading information, it's layered. So it's either telling me more of the same with different ways of doing it, or it's challenging me altogether. So do I think part of that statement is true? Absolutely. My brain has to filter out what is right for this situation. However, I find it to be more help than a hindrance, because most of the times it just flows out of me. There's a, like you, academically in school, I was not on board. Yeah, I like the social aspect of school. I like the fact that I belonged to every social circle, and that I did sports and um other things besides just my academic. So it bored me. Okay. But in my adult life, I've more than made up for it. And the thing is, a mindset that's continuously learning and continuously growing, of course, you're going to be implementing those things. You might not take direct action, but you will change your tune if that's all you're infused by. You see, we are the sum of the 5 people we hang out with the most. So if listening to the news every day for 12 hours a day is part of your people, because it could be, depending on your scenario, how are you being influenced? By, right? So think about that as a whole. I don't agree with what Dude is saying, because for those people that go to college and university and post-secondary, that's pretty much assuming that they're not nearly as smart as anybody else because they've got more
Oh, yeah,
information
but
in there.
it's very subjective.
I would agree.
I think
Yeah.
the statement of inaction is going to trigger people, because like, well, because I had a second thought about it. It's like, well, he's not wrong.
No, he's not wrong, because most people, first of all, don't finish a book, right? Secondly, they don't take action on whatever that book is implementing, whether it's now or down the road. They normally don't refer back. So I bookmark all of my books. See if I can show you one I just read. I bookmark, of course, I can't find one to just pull. I just put one back here that I just finished. So I know there's lots of, here we go. I dog ear the bottom side of my book when I want to refer back to it. And this one has about 20 different dog ears on the bottom. So I can circle back and make those notes and do the work. I was listening to a podcast yesterday, no, an audiobook, and I was trying to explain it last night to my husband, and it was like, I'm going to have to go and buy the book now so I could review these parts, because alternatively I have to go find the spot on the audio and go back. So I do audio and I do physical books. But it's interesting because at the end of the day, as coaches, as influencers, as people that other people aspire to, and we're in that role, there are some moments that knock us out too. And I know 99% of the time cannot is not an option and your mindset is positive, but I know for a fact it's not always there. It can't be always there. We do ebb and flow in life. Life hits us one way or another, sooner or later. So when those periods happen, how do you pull yourself out?
It happens more than people would expect. I think it's been more of a challenge in business because in my sporting life, I had more control of myself and my competitors, because if I was better than my competitors, I could obviously I learned a lot of psychoanalyzing people and literally get people to do what you want to almost and when I've seen it done to people, I couldn't believe it. I was like, well, what, how does that person believe every word that you're saying? But because I've been under that person's guidance, I would have kind of go, well, okay, if James is so good, that's that good, prove it. Whereas obviously on the flip side, that you're asking, obviously the other side of the coin, what do I do? I try to not go woe is me, because ultimately that's not useful.
But we
And
go there, don't we?
well, I think when because my business coach is more like the other coaches are family, to see other people going through the same struggles, and because one of them he shared yesterday he lost a client. I went, okay, I'm going to lose a client in a couple of days, but I'm not going to sort of, but I've known this for months with
Right.
mine. So it's like, well, okay, I'll speak to her again for the last time on Monday. I'll do my review, what I could have done better, etc. Get a testimonial, and I wish you all the best. And obviously the door is always open. So have I not felt like that other coach? Yeah, sure. But I get a constant reminder, because I shared with a coach about 2 years ago. He went, "Well, where's this perseverance that you've got come from in business?" I went, "I have the epitome of quitting in business. I lost client after client after client. I ended up with zero, and then I spent a couple of months with no clients. That I then had to go to, we talked about this off air, of going to get a real
Real
job,
job.
of work. It wasn't 9 to 5, but working in education as a teaching assistant just to pay the bills. And I did. I'm not gonna say I hated all of it, but I wouldn't go back. But in terms of, for me, that's almost it's the wake up call, because when things are going wrong, it's like, well, James, that's the extreme. Are you going to allow that to happen ever again? No chance, because I'll either get ahead of the curve and obviously do more things in terms of lead generation, get to people, at least having conversations with people, and then if we feel that synergy is there, hey, let's maybe sit down and have a chat about maybe working together and working through some of the things that you've got going on. I've worked with my coach because I did it last month a little bit, because I wouldn't share that I was how it was affecting me in my mood. People probably wouldn't expect that. But he went, hey, there's nothing wrong with you sharing if it's affecting your mood and it's making you stressed to be, no need to be manly about it to internalize it. I went, yeah, but I'm living on an archaic system that we're not supposed to. Okay, it doesn't matter. If you got a problem, you share it. That if that obviously was to happen, it's going to happen again sometime in the future. I don't know when, but as in it will happen again, and I know that's not an issue. Okay, this is happening, so literally putting the fire out before it engulfs things and becomes a dumpster fire. To share things to kind of equal out the load, but because of, I don't even know. For me personally, I don't know where it comes from because I've been brought up by a matriarchal society. I've been brought up by my mum, my aunt, my grandmother. So thus, I shouldn't really have this problem to be able to share. I think it's probably because it's with another male that
Or
it's
maybe
more.
you overshared. They overshared their whole life and you feel like you can't.
Not necessarily. No, I
No?
was okay with my feelings as a young James. It
Okay.
was okay to share the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I think it's probably school a little bit that you've got to be seen to be cool, and you can't be showing any. You are conforming, and sport is very much like that in terms of
Yeah.
you've got to wear a suit of armor, and if you show any ounce of weakness, you pounce on that individual. So I still do that in competitive sport. That if somebody's rattled, hey, let's do more of that because that person's mentally weak in that department. That hey, um, because we'd won a game earlier in the season we shouldn't have done, and one of the other team came up to me, oh, you were disrespectful. But in what way? Because I don't know what you were concerning about. I thought it was one particular play I blocked. The other guy that got blocked, he wasn't fussed about that. Whereas I don't know if it was in an earlier comment I said in the game. I'm talking about wheelchair basketball, so it's quite rough if people haven't seen it. I told one of my teammates to keep knocking him on the floor. So if you're going to be reckless, you're going to be on the floor most of the game. Is it that? I don't know. And I got to thinking after it, and it affected me because it was like, well, we won the game, and just because of a comment that he said that I wasn't the only one that he said it to, it was one or two of us. But it's like, well, if you're not passionate about a sport to rally your troops, you shouldn't be doing it. And obviously, I'm the captain of that team. I should lead by example that if I block somebody and he goes out of bounds with it, hey, we've got the ball turnover, and it literally lifts everybody's spirits. Okay, we should probably not have been in the doldrums in that game, but that's a different story. So coming back to your original question, and I apologize for going on.
No, I sidebar all the time. You're talking to the right one here. I'm with you.
It's one of those. Sometimes it's more easy to almost like rewrite the ship as okay, something has not gone to plan. People haven't showed up. Blah, blah, blah. It's literally going back to meditation or mindfulness, binary beats to reset my mental state to kind of go, okay, the person's not showed up for whatever reason. That's on them, not me. I shouldn't allow it to affect the way that I'm going to feel after the fact. Obviously, human beings is very difficult to do that, but as in if you become better to it, because I saw another piece of content of about a religious pastor talking about you can't get rid of negative people. You get literally once you able to be in their surroundings, you don't care that they're ignorant. You've God will stop sending people that's like, okay, so I've not fully got it because I keep getting people that obviously irritate me. So,
Well, I loved how you brought up God, because I've recently discovered a really interesting way of putting this together. And then I have another question for you. So prayer is a way that we communicate to God, however you do it, whoever your God is. And for those listening or watching this, you know, when I say God, I can mean universe, I can mean higher power, anybody. But when you spend time in meditation, that's how you hear what is being said to you. That is God's way of communicating to you, is when you're in meditation. And so I thought that was really interesting. And meditation doesn't have to be done a certain way. It can be a nature walk. It could be anything. It doesn't have to be sitting in silence and in Buddha style. It can be whatever works for you.
Well,
But
it's slowing down.
yes,
Because I had a conversation with a young athlete at the beginning of the week. It's like, oh, I can't slow down. Yeah, but if you give yourself some space to be able to do it, it would do massive wonders for mental health, a different perspective on things. I'm not telling you what to do, but I'm just giving you a little bit of guidance. If you were able to kind of slow the pace down, stress wouldn't overconsume you. We wouldn't get to overwhelm and okay, the worst case scenario, burnout.
well,
But I
you go.
think,
Yeah,
with that, that's through, because I didn't like meditation years and years
I was going
ago.
to say, society doesn't teach us to slow down. Society teaches us to do more and more and more.
Well,
Um,
that's the rat race.
that's the rat race, right? So slowing down needs to be learned. It's not in our ancestors. It's not in our culture. It's not in our corporate. It's definitely not in our education. So all of a sudden, you said you're 38. I'm almost 50. I'll be 50 in July. We're in a point in our lives where we're suddenly infusing meditation or infusing a daily walk that's kind of coming out of nowhere. And to most people, those negative people, they don't get it because they haven't tried it. They haven't created that space to even try it.
Well, I think so. People get, for me, I had a mental breakdown. That's why I was more embracing of it. Because, well, I blame the job when I was closer to it. Because well, schooling and most things are very toxic. It's not the children; it's more the adults. And obviously, for me, it was sleep wasn't great. My eating was poor. I didn't want to exercise. I conformed to the job, and whatever I was eating was to survive the job. So for me, my body was probably telling me long before I had a massive panic attack at work. It was like violently ill. I had to call an ambulance because I thought I was gonna have a heart attack. It's like, oh, never felt
And how old were you?
30, 31, 32.
So not even a decade ago. And you weren't very old when you were there in that stage. Yeah, that's huge.
Well, I think because you don't know what to look out for. If I was to have a panic attack now, I know exactly what it is. Okay,
Now,
yeah. Let's
right?
let's
And now
let's
you can
let's
walk your
let's
clients through it.
let's slow down. Let's do some breath work. Let's reset. And what is exactly that's making you feel that stressed? Whereas for then, well, but I think because there's the way of thinking is stress, you just get on with it. The British stereotype is a stiff upper lip. I think
Yeah,
people
pretty
still
much here
believe that.
too. Suck it up. Yep.
Whereas that's not. Whereas if you're still going full throttle, that was for me that was probably a blessing in disguise, like a literal reset to kind of go okay. Because the first day I went in on that job, I saw kids going to school with chocolate bars, and I went, I can't judge somebody because they're going into the store, corner store before they go. I can because I work in the health profession. So thus, what is it that maybe the parents' education when it comes to proper nutrition for breakfast that I was taught, I wasn't allowed to leave the house without having breakfast. I probably did towards the end of high school because I literally rolled out of bed and went to school, but because it was that close.
Right.
But my mom would be okay, come on, it's time to get up, and I'd probably be in school within 30 minutes. I would still eat breakfast and be out the door and be in my first period on time. So for me, that's probably a regret to kind of go, no, James, this is a mark in the stand that this is what you believe to be right, that those kids probably shouldn't be using chocolate bars, energy drinks, and whatever to be able to get themselves going in the beginning of the day. To okay, the school banned Monster and things like that because
Not here. Well, I don't know about high school, but I
well,
know
it's
we.
just so they weren't allowed to drink it. It's like, well, if you tell somebody they can't do it, they're gonna do it. They're gonna do the complete opposite. They're gonna sneak it in and drink some. Oh no, I gotta take that off you. Yeah, but I got another 2 free in my bag.
Yeah.
But whereas that's only masking, that's painting over the cracks or putting a band-aid over a wound. It's not really solving the problem. And adults will do the same as well. So obviously I can kind of look at it from that as, okay, if you're drinking, I've actually got one client, he was drinking 15 Diet Cokes a day.
15.
And I went, well, why? Oh, I'm stressed. Okay, well, we need to work backwards now. Sleep was okay. I was surprised. But we need to look to wean you off that caffeine. And I worked it out. The 15 caffeines were like 2 espressos a day. So it was about 400 milligrams of caffeine. That's a
And
lot.
not an athlete. And I say
Well,
that for the listeners.
I wouldn't consume that much caffeine because it does. I've got one teammate that he likes to have pre-workout.
Yeah.
I've had the stuff once, and I literally was climbing up the walls just to see because somebody offered me when I was working in a corporate gym. I was like, okay, I'll try it to see what all this fuss is about and all this buzz. And literally, I could feel my skin crawling.
Yeah,
I
so
went,
pre-workout does
no,
that.
I can't do that. I can't exercise on this. Yes, as a performance, caffeine will help.
I was just about to say, as coaches here, caffeine does have a place when it comes to performance and helping you with your training. But you just heard James concur that you don't need 400 milligrams of caffeine a day.
You probably don't need. You need to look at what the real problem is, and probably it's
Exactly.
sleep. It's probably sleep. What's your perception towards your job? Probably not very good, but we might not be able to change that one.
Yes.
But people don't look at the one that will probably make a massive difference because I don't consume a lot. I do consume caffeine, but it might be before a game, and I've taken too much for a game because I literally felt the same way. I was like, this isn't good, and that was probably like 60. So for me, my tolerance is probably not that high, but I don't drink, coffee, caffeinated beverages regularly. That maybe some people might just go to. Well, we'll give these plugs: Starbucks, or in this country we got Costa.
We have
Coffee.
Tim Hortons here in Starbucks. So this is Tim Hortons that I'm drinking. But
we
it's a
got
tea.
We got Tim Hortons in this.
You guys
country
have Tim
now.
Hortons there too,
Now,
and
yeah.
we have Starbucks, are the two big ones.
But people don't think twice to go first thing in the morning on their way to work to have. We'll say, won't say small, say medium coffee, maybe a large, maybe a bit. The Americans, we could probably, the Americans got their own size. They've invented their own. Because
this is a medium. This is a medium.
Well, I can't remember. There's a venti.
For Starbucks, venti grande.
But the Americans have created another size for themselves. Like, well, why?
I know, because it's super big. Yeah, or they're small. No longer is that small. Anyways, yes. So caffeine is good for sport. We talked about that. There's 2 more things I want to make sure we cover before we start the sign off. And can you share with everybody what binary beats are?
Ooh, you know what it is.
No.
This is where binary beat. So literally, it is one frequency that one eardrum hears, and another, and and I don't know how it does it, but literally when it goes into the brain, they merge to create a frequency. So I struggled with certain ones in the early days because it just felt, oh, my body really didn't like it. And I've done recently, as of the back in the last just in November, did a sound bathing class where the person came in with the instruments, and I asked him at the end of it, what's the difference between an alpha frequency and an omega. So the alpha frequency is obviously the third eye, and then the omega. So for me, in the early days, I couldn't tolerate an alpha frequency because we this shows that I've obviously gone off and learned stuff. We operate in a beta frequency. That's why we're stressed when we're awake. Is a beta for it's hilarious when obviously software stuff is in called that. You're thinking, well, okay, so you're telling me that's why it's not very, very good. So that's got to be tested. So in order to what we would do to relax is we will go into I think it's, yeah, get it right, theta state, or, and when we're asleep it's the delta state. So the binary beats will look to do more around, if people were to go on Spotify, Apple, or even YouTube, and you YouTube this stuff, it will do to relieve stress, lower anxiety, help with depression and things like that. To give almost like a spa type experience is what is one of them, and obviously some are just noises. So they're almost like
Like the megahertz, like the hertz.
yeah. So it's
Yeah.
just that. So for when you're first doing it, it's like, well, what's this noise? But that's because we're not conditioned to it because of secular music, and secular music is not ideal either because it's on the wrong frequency.
Yes. So I have been listening to hertz, to a variety of different hertz. I never heard it called binary beats before.
No, it's literally
That's what I'm wondering if
it's
it's the
just
same thing.
no, it's
It
not.
sounds different.
It's slightly different, but it's two frequencies, and then the brain obviously I'll use computes it, and then it becomes one frequency in the brain that the body responds to. But it's two. If you were to put one headphone and just listen, it'd be one, and if you did the other, it'd be a different completely frequency. But then obviously the brain, obviously the power that it's got combines the two, and that's why it's called binary beats. So the two frequencies, but the stereotypical spa stuff that you're going to find is one frequency. So it'd be one frequency.
Okay.
So some of the binary beats I don't like because it's like, oh gosh, what's this frequency?
And the frequency, for those that are listening or watching this, whichever place you're in right now, frequency is simply a vibration. It's the audio version of a vibration and how it gets received on you.
Well, I think the best way is if the people to YouTube it, because the chap for the samba, he did it with the Tibetan bowl,
Yep.
but put water in it. So every frequency will create a different pattern. So if people were to watch, what TV program was it? Can't remember what TV because literally the beginning of it was frequencies being created as the imagery.
Okay.
And I can't remember. It's either it's not Game of Thrones. It's something of that nature, and I can't remember which one it is because when I saw the water in front of me, I was like, oh, that's just like that TV series. But
Okay.
I can't remember which one it is.
Well, if you remember, let me know.
But that's with sand instead of water. So any we'll call element. So we're carbon, and 70% water. So the body's going to respond to the frequency just like water would do in a bowl. So Um, one of my teammates is very deep into that kind of, so we're going to talk about things like that. So when he's got pain, it's like, well, did you do that frequency? Did you try? So literally, it'd be, have you done Epsom salts baths? Have you done your frequency work? Have you done your meditation? But he gone further than that. He can read people's auras. I can't do that.
I can
Literally,
do
could
that a little bit too, where you
see
can see
people's
that.
colors around.
Yeah.
Thinking, I don't know how you do that, but that sounds quite interesting. He convinced a person utter rubbish. How can a frequency make you feel better? It's like, well, I can see that you're giving off, can't remember what hue it was, be it like purple or bad aura, and he went squint a little bit and then look at your hand, and the guy could see it. I've never tried it,
So
to see.
there's a
It's
book.
quite interesting to almost literally convince somebody to see colors.
There's a book, The Celestine Prophecy, and it talks about, have you read this one? No, probably not. We talked about your reading. So this is what happens to me, James, when I read. Not only did I pull two books off the shelf, but I can literally tell you where it is in this book. And there are dog ears on the bottom, but in this book it talks about how to tap into auras. And how some people can clearly see it and how some people can't. And you need to focus in different areas. But you mentioned auras, and I'm like, it's actually in here. Cool. Anyways, it's a really, really good book.
It's the
Yeah.
same with the East, because you mentioned the word out, spirituality, and I'm not that religious, and I've got clients that are a little bit, because I was like, well, are you this? Are you agnostic? Or are you an atheist? All right, you believe in this, so that means you made it somewhere in between. But I've leaned more into, say, like the Eastern stuff, like the chakras,
I do chakra work, so I get
but
that.
Buddhism and Hinduism is like, well, okay, it's a different religion, but to look at, say, how each different chakra affects you. So the third eye is probably the most difficult because it's in here. It's the brain, but each frequency is obviously associated with that. So then you've got one for the brain, the throat, if I get it right, so if I get all of them right,
Let's
heart,
see. I'll test you.
the abdomen, and then obviously the genitals is the other one.
Yeah,
But
there's a couple in there. So your root is your genital area where you sit down, your sit bones. That's your root chakra. It's the red one. The next one is your sacral, which is between your belly button and I guess it's underneath your belly button is your sacral. And that's orange. That's creativity. So your root is safety and security. Creativity is your sacral, which comes before your solar plexus. So your solar plexus are between your ribs and your belly button, to give you a visual. And that's your personal power. That's your confidence. That's where a lot of magic is made. But believe it or not, that cannot happen until the creativity happens. That cannot happen until you are safe and secure and have a strong stability. So those are the three that connect you to your roots. So if you think of it as a tree, and your root chakra is like the tree roots, and the solar plex and the sacral chakras are like the trunks, keeping you solid footing. The rest of you can move around. It doesn't matter how big that storm is, you're not going anywhere.
is that why you ask people about what their preference is to colors, then?
Yes.
Okay, that
When I
makes
do
more
that
sense.
personality, when I do that
That makes
wellness
more
quiz,
sense now,
yes.
then.
I'm able to tap in. So James is talking about my wellness quiz, and I'm able to tap in based on their answers to that test, which one of their chakras is most out of alignment, if any. And then from there, I come back to the table with 3 different recommendations that will meet them where they're at and help you start implementing right away, whether it's essential oils, whether it's meditations, whether it's a to-do thing, simple, small shifts that you can implement to start to see results, to feel that movement in that chakra area. And I prefer to work bottom up. Okay, because again, I truly believe that you need that solid foundation. You're not going to be able to focus on divinity if you don't have a roof on your head.
I don't think you'd be able to take it in. It'd be too overwhelming.
And that's why I like to focus from the ground up. So then the other four chakras, your heart chakra, which is typically green or pink. You can hear my dogs. This is real life, folks. You can hear my dogs. Then there is the throat chakra. I'm just going to close this door. So the throat chakra is blue, and that's your communication. Sometimes it's open, sometimes it's closed. And that's the same thing with all of these chakras. And then your third eye, as you mentioned, your intuition, your thoughts, your mindset, and then your crown is your divinity, your connection to spirit, your connection to your higher purpose. And then there is multiple chakras from there, but these are the 7 core ones. I get very passionate talking about chakras because it is an easy way to start to make a difference within yourself. So I was speaking to my coach the other day, and like you were chatting about your mate, your sports mate, my coach said to me, you need to go clear your chakras. I was having a rough day. Did you clear your chakras? No, I didn't. I thought about my chakra yoga that I like to do, and I hadn't done it. So no, I needed to clear my chakras. And then I did a sound bath. Well, physical, I was listening to one of the Hertz. Then the next day, my homework assignment was to cut cords, do a visualization and cut cords. There was another, oh yeah, chakra clearing and cutting cords. And what my takeaway is with what James had recommended about meditation and the daily practices that he does, whether it's journaling or what he's talking about. And I'm chiming in saying, and there's others, such as cutting cords, such as your chakras. And both of us are here as coaches, letting you both know that we work with coaches. We are also up-leveling and upgrading our lives. So we can then share that knowledge with all of you listening. What do you think?
What to add to that?
Yeah. Want to add anything to that?
Well, I'm gonna backtrack because I didn't always believe I even the sport I believed at the back end of my career that I did it all myself, and that is utter lunacy now because it's not true.
You thought you did it all
Well,
yourself.
because I did the work, I believe that I did. It's unjust and it's not really fair that I need to give obviously kudos to my mother because she started the breadcrumbs. My grandmother was one of those figures to numerous sporting coaches that I've had, mentors to give me that to do his intuitions to come on, you might not want to do it, but so I was at his funeral last week because he suddenly died before the new year, so it was like a complete shock to probably everybody that knew him. And I remember one time where I'd done an event. He's like, do you need a physio, James? I'm not asking you, James, I'm telling you. And me being, gosh, I would have been early 20s. No, I don't need physio. I'll be fine tomorrow. No, I'm telling you. And obviously through his own experience with working with, gosh, probably hundreds of other athletes, you're going to feel 10 times better, if not more than that. And he's so right, because I know that now in my 30s. Yeah, if I don't take care of myself after the fact, it takes probably a lot more than it used to recover from things. So I'm more inclined to be appreciative of others. To, hey, if we can resolve things quicker, so be if it was what we talked about, the bad, to be able to get you back on track and kind of going. Don't be afraid to share when things are going wrong, which obviously is very alien to me, because I don't want to do that. But now that that's okay, that level of communication will upskill. Okay, I've got this to even he has a share wins. Like, why would you do that? Why are you going to celebrate them? But every coach does it. Every good coach do it to either make somebody shake a bell. I joke and say, people, come on, let's dance on the table a little. But to have that confidence, to no matter how small or how big the win is, hey, let's focus on that, and then we'll focus at hand the whatever went wrong or whatever you want to delve into this week. But we're going to focus on, to the point that it's almost automatic with my clients. Oh, I did this. It was small, but I did it. Okay, good. To obviously, as coaches, our wins obviously other people's success. Why wouldn't you want to show that off? So I'm probably facing an old school mindset of, what's behind closed doors stays behind closed doors. And then people maybe that are in their early 20s now and younger share everything on social media. So it's almost normal. Whereas maybe they need to maybe pull the reins back a bit. It's like, well, some people don't care what you're sharing. And when you fail, they'll have great delight in, I think Dave Chappelle put it very well with this, of the people that are going to revel in when you fail. They're probably going to rub their hands together because you fail. But it was quite interesting, considering that's a comedian. He would put it well put, as that's true. When people, the ones that want to see you fail the most are probably the ones that are insecure to do it themselves.
They are, of course they are. Okay, there's so much we covered today, and we're going to close this off. I'm just double checking to see if there's anything I wanted to recap before we close this up. Of course, you wear a suit of armor. I do the same, because as coaches, we're looked at as role models. And it almost as if that permission of being human, it's like as an athlete, or if you ever tell anybody you're on a diet and you're like, you go to eat and they're like, well, you can't eat that. It's like, you can't be vulnerable. You can't have a bad day. You're a coach. Yeah, no, we're human too. We have human experiences. We just have the ability to turn it around that much quicker. But it doesn't mean we're not going to fall into those trenches every once in a while, because life is hard. So tell me, James, we're going to take the next couple of minutes here and go over a couple things.
No problem.
Meals, movement, mindset, and your relationship with money. Where do you want to start?
We'll go with the awful one. We'll go with the money to start with.
The money start. Okay, so tell me, you touched on limiting beliefs. You touched on your mom. We talked a little bit about mindset. We talked about some goals off camera.
Yeah.
Where are you at in your relationship with money now?
A lot better place than I was.
Perfect.
Because
That's progress.
we did an exercise, other coaches and a mastermind in November on this topic, as well. What is your limiting belief in terms of how you view money? Which is quite interesting to hear other people's perspectives on it, because it's like, oh, I can relate to yours, I can relate to yours, I can relate. And for mine particularly, was around not necessarily self-worth and value of what I did deem that I could charge, but it's more the stereotype of, we talked about it a little bit off air, of, my parents won't tell me how much they earned. It's like, why do you want to know that? Like, well, because it's useful information. But because of it being like one of those pillars that you don't talk about, money, religion, politics. And I've seen an amazing one on social media that talked about, it's like, well, why not? Because if we might be on either sides of the aisle politically, but we might have similar values. But if we don't talk about it, we won't know that. So if we allow, I'll use the American because it's a bit easier. The American landscape when it comes to media is pretty obvious. One is very, very Republican, and one is very democratic. Other countries maybe it's a little bit more difficult. I'll use the BBC is probably a good example. BBC is not impartial. It should be, but it's not. So why is it that you're trying to push an agenda on me, and if I don't follow the status quo, that I'm the black sheep, that I'm the odd one out, I'm the problem? And I was talking to one of my clients about it. He went, well, the black sheep is good. It's like, depends on who you talk to.
Yeah.
Where we're coming from, obviously, some people maybe need to not follow the herd and be themselves. By your own admission, friends, family will ostracize you, because it's like, well, why are you going over there? Why everybody's going in this direction? Well, what's so wonderful over there? Why don't you do like everybody else? So the money aspect is a limiting belief for me, because I don't see why you wouldn't it doesn't matter, because you're both retired now, so it doesn't really affect me in terms of an income. But I think because of maybe the way that they've been brought up, as one of the things you don't talk about money. Why are the wealthy people so wealthy? Because you talk about it. It's almost indoctrinated from, well, not
Yeah.
indoctrinated. It's in the conversation from when they're very young to, I think within Paralympic sport, I think it's only the UK, Canada, and Australia that fund their athletes, other than Eastern Europe. So the Americans is obviously not. So I've earned money being an athlete. So my ceiling was that. I was like, well, I'm not saying I can't earn more than that, but once I got over, I was like, yeah, I can make more money than it was. Well, it'd be about $36,000 Canadian at the time, which is about £12,000 what I earned in a calendar year as an athlete.
So it was an average income then.
Well, I was a student, so it probably went even further.
Yeah.
But I learned to. I don't want to use the word survive. I learned to be able to handle a tight budget, as my tuition was paid for, my food was paid for my family, but I only had a certain limit that I could spend every week. That when I had that kind of income, I was like, well, I can make that go a lot further, and I managed to probably keep some of that money after I'd finished, because there's some left over. But obviously that limiting belief of what I can earn as a coach is we've looked at it this year. Well, what is it that you want to earn? And this is probably why last year and the years prior weren't very good, because there was no substance towards the figure. It was just a figure. So when the days that I don't want to use, I can't be asked, as in the days that are tough, I've got no other motive as well. If I want to help, we'll say 1,000 people in a year, I could divvy that down in terms of, well, this is how many people I got to help this month. And if I don't show up today, I'm letting other people down, which would hurt me pretty deep, because I don't like that. But where we've looked into that now this year of, okay, what is the goal? What is the stretch goal?
Yeah.
The why for the goal is, okay, I want to do this because XY, XYZ. The stretch goal will be tough because I've never done it before. I won't hit quarter one, but that's not. It doesn't make me go into a negative mood. Whereas before it'd be, oh, I had a bad month, and it's transpired into another one, and then
And then a year long, it can hurt. It can be a vicious
last year I had
cycle.
6 months like that. And whatever it was, I hit July and mentally I changed. But for between January and June, I was in a massive funk. But then I looked at the year before. There wasn't a 6 month stretch, but there were months that were like clockwork. It's like, okay, if you can, well, Feb wasn't great, but at the moment, March is the best month of the year already, and we're only 9 days into it. So,
Last year month was my best last year, March was my best month.
So
But
I
then
think that
I hit a dry spell after that for 9 months, almost a year now. Almost
yeah,
a
but
year.
you go into, but you got, so that what I'm trying to do now from the financial thing is kind of going, well, yeah, money makes the world go round. I can't stop that, because that's obviously, that's how the world works. But not having that emotional attachment that it dictates how I feel.
Yes.
I'm trying to learn that, to kind of go, okay, to, if you have a good month, and I think talking through with other people to kind of go, and I do this with a good month, sometimes I down tools. And I went, that's utter stupidity as well. Why would you not want to revel in the momentum of this train and jump on it? So now for this month, I'll kind of go on, well, you're going to do that. So if you may be taking it a bit too lackadaisical on one day, come on, let's go. Because this momentum's not going to last. And it's a rap artist, he's got a podcast, Ice-T, put it, bad times are just around the corner. So why not revel in the positive while you've got it, and then enjoy it? So for me, that's exciting, because it's like, okay, I had a bad experience on Monday of somebody not turning up. So I went, okay, let's message somebody else, and literally within 15 minutes I was on a call, and within an hour I made a sale.
See?
Just because I went, okay, woe is me. It's it's a bit disrespectful that the person, I rang them in the end, because I went, well, we're meant to have this call. Where are you? So I'll be home in 30 minutes. I waited 40 minutes. I was like, no, I'm gonna be respectful of me. If you want to obviously have this call, you're gonna have to do it yourself. And I'm gonna message somebody else to, I didn't even expect the person to ask, well, how do I work with you? It's literally, okay, do you just want to have a chat based on what you've got going on? Da, da, da. Oh, how do I do it? To, the invoice was paid within 5 minutes. I went,
See?
so for me, that money one, there's a limiting belief with that, because I put my price up in January. That price is now being, I've sold at it. It's like, okay, so I can probably charge more than that. So, and if I put my prices up, that's the benefit of being self-employed. You can do that, and people willing to do it becomes far easier to hit your targets, because you don't need as many people to do it. Thus, you don't need to be on as many calls. You don't need to have as many conversations. Okay, there's a choice. You either do high ticket or you do volume. And obviously volume would be, I don't know, depend on what the price point is, maybe $49 or below. You're gonna have to do a lot of volume to that get your revenue. And even through learning, like for YouTube, I watched a video where they looked at, in order to make, example did they use? I think it was a $10 million in a month off ad revenue versus long form content versus shorts. They needed 6 million views with the long form. They needed almost 200 million with the short to make the same amount of money. It's like,
Wow.
no, what I'm going to do, I'm going to focus on the long format, and then take the shorts from that, and then obviously redirect back to it. And okay, we're talking about stuff that's obviously, I'll name the YouTube channel. It's Think Media. It's going to get a lot of volume, because people want to know this thing to be either for a podcast, their own content, their marketing, da da da. So literally, the viewership is probably a little bit easier, but the same is probably true with the way that people view money. I think a lot of people think get rich quick.
Yeah.
And my coach specifically, I think he said to me, I know a lot of businesses that I work with, they don't exist, because they had that mentality. Whereas I might go in towards some of that. I didn't listen to him last year or the year before, because I got sidetracked. I went, I like this. If I promote this, he said to me twice, James, focus on the other one. Didn't listen the first time. I listened the second because it's like you shouldn't have to repeat it the third time because he's right. He's right the first time. To I think if you were to come to him with an idea as, hey, I'd like to do it this, and this is how I'll do it, I'd probably listen to kind of go, okay, if that's what you want to do, James, or one person has done it and it was amazing. I didn't even think about doing it for live video to piggyback off your own content to tag people that have, so say we've got a challenge we have to do. I shouldn't say we have to do, sorry, go live for 31 days or in March. But the other coaches come up with tagging the person from the day before on today's video after the fact. Oh, I thought you'd like this. I was like, no, I don't
Smart,
care.
see?
But then you'll see a pattern of people, okay, you've watched 31 days of my content. That I think maybe we should have a chat.
Yeah. Yeah.
In terms of some of these. But I think that mindset that I've been open to investigating it, to kind of go, well, okay, well, where does it come from? Why do I have this because I don't come from that bad a well-off family. I come from probably, well, I don't think middle class suburbia really exists anymore, but as in I had advantages that some people maybe have not had. So it's potentially not done me some favors because I've got comfort, so some things come a bit easier, so I can rest on my laurels versus maybe somebody that's come from hard times. They've really got a ruthless streak in terms of, well, I don't want to ever be in this. So that's why a lot of professional athletes can get out of that situation, because they want to I'll say the word upskill their entire family and change their entire landscape. But those individuals still have problem with money because they don't.
Absolutely.
So it changes
Because
overnight. As if you've gone from nothing to being on $1 million contracts. I can't remember. The statistic was horrific.
there's a
That
book
amount
I
of
read
people that went
too.
bankrupt, it was horrific. You're thinking, well, shouldn't.
Artists, musicians, and athletes are the biggest category for when they make a lot, how quickly they go bankrupt because they're not taught what to do with it. And they don't have those
Yeah,
conversations.
but that's the system. It's the system not allowing that to happen. So by I watch a lot of Alex and Mosey's content, so he pretty much. I think the best one he did. He worked at a smoothie drinks company when he was younger, and they were in the back reading I'm gonna say Forbes or something like that kind of magazine. And in the magazine, it was like this person had bought a $5,000 US hamburger, and he did the numbers in his head as, I'm making, I think it was like $6 an hour, and my lunch is a $12 hamburger. How many hours I'm gonna have to work to pay that for that hamburger? And he literally broke down the guy's salary that was bought a $5,000. He's like, I think it was 120,000 a year. Thus,
Wow.
$5,000 hamburger is only worth 1 hour of his day. So it's not a big deal for somebody that's. Whereas the person that's on $12 an hour really can't afford to have a $12 cheeseburger. So
Right.
those things are like, they kind of go thinking, wow. Where's that where people need to go with the think? And I've got to give credit to obviously my family a little bit. The US will probably not agree with this, but in terms of like savings, you need to think, do I really need something versus what I want? Somebody put out content on LinkedIn about, she goes into schools when they're making the transition from elementary school to, we'll say, middle school. Obviously for us it'd be high school, and about this, and the kids are worried about, oh, am I going to be bullied if I not got the latest thing? Am I going to be bullied out of like 12 years old. I didn't have to think. I think I got my first phone at 14 or 15.
I was much older than
I
that,
was
but yes.
it was a hand me down from my mom. So to I think it's the second or third contract I've got in
Okay.
my life. I believe that I think the company providers got more to, because you have to, you in this country you got to sign a document to say that you would uphold to paying the bill, and if you don't, obviously it gets and if you don't sign it, you can't take a it's like, well, if the person can't afford to have something,
Why are you
shouldn't be
giving it?
allowed to get it regardless, as you need to maybe do a credit check and kind of go look at their finances. No, sorry, you can't afford to get out this contract of, I think mine's about £40, so about $120 Canadian a month. It's a lot of money
Yep.
if you don't have
Yep.
it. So to my point that I've probably been given some street smarts when it's come to finances and money, but I've not got. I've had to learn, and I'm still learning to the level that maybe I'm going to use the movie Richie Rich, Macaulay
Mm-hmm.
Culkin
Mm-hmm.
time, as
Yep.
somebody that is that position can literally step in to take. Okay, mom and dad didn't die in the movie, but people haven't seen it. But as in, he stepped in and ran the company to, and there's the same with. Have you read Rich Dad Poor Dad?
Yep. Yep.
Of
Want me to pull it off the shelf?
Go on then for everybody else.
Let's see here. Where is it? I read it was actually one of the books I wanted to talk about in a book club because it is a phenomenal. Oh, maybe I only have the audio on that one. Although I thought I had the book.
But
Um,
I've listened to as a podcast episode of him talking about the Monopoly board, and I
yes,
went, everybody's played Monopoly, everybody understands.
I might not have it. I might actually have the
Oh,
audio
scroll
only.
around.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
just checking.
greenhouses and the Red Hotel. To if you
Yeah.
get a hotel on, obviously people owe you a lot of money. But obviously the real aspect of the story is what part of it? Hawaii, is it? I'll use Hawaii 5 because literally the newer version shows Waikiki Beach with the Hilton and things like that. That's what he's talking about. That they bought that it's not his real dad, but as in the I think it was his friend's dad. Literally bought up all the property in around that. Obviously, probably bulldozed it and then went in with Hilton and built loads of hotels. So, but then this is this has come up in my life that one of the students in the school I worked at, so he would probably be about 20 years old now, but as a 16-year-old, he went to the form teacher, why don't we learn about tax?
Yeah.
Wow. But I didn't challenge the teacher because the teacher went, you don't need to know tax. But he's got a valid point that if somebody doesn't want to go into further education, maybe to university or go into a 9 to 5 job, that you're going to pay into a pot and you're looked after, the person needs to know, well,
A little
either
bit,
know how to do their own tax or know a good accountant.
but you're
So, but I went, so the kids I've and the other one with it was a year 7 student, so he'd been about 11, 12.
okay.
He went to me, Mr. Roberts. It was in science class. Like a picture of the room. Why do the naughty kids get rewarded and the good kids, and what's the incentive for to being good? I went, oh my gosh. It's an 11-year-old. 11-year-old. I went, I'm not the right person to ask that, but you've got a good question. You need to speak to the principal, the vice principal, or the head teacher and the deputy head to ask them. If they can't answer you, there's a serious. I know I obviously know he's right,
Right.
because this is where the naughty kids get rewarded so they behave. So what's the point of me being good? But he turned out to be a naughty kid in the end. But I could see why he gravitates. It's like, well, what's the point of
What
me
is
being
the
good
point?
if I don't even get praise? So, but I was amazed when I kind of heard. I was thinking, this is coming out of an 11-year-old's mouth. He's right, because I see it every single day, but I can't answer you as to the real reason, as to because this is what's wrong.
Yes.
As in, shouldn't you
Society.
be what's deeper rooted? Because there's obviously lack of respect as well.
Of course, of course.
But I think coming back to the additional point of the money issue, I'm still learning to be able to find not inventive, but as in to learn from Rich Dad Poor Dad, Alex Mosey, because the content's out there for people to consume now. As it's just ultimately not even finding the time to sit down and finding people that you can resonate with, because I don't
That's
like
hard
Grant.
too, isn't it?
I don't like Grant Cardone because just because he says it. They're actionable steps, but it's like, well, I come from hard times. Like, yeah, whatever. Your dad was wealthy as well, so that's utter ridiculous. So don't lie to my face. So for him, I think it's that moral compass. Well, you're like some people will like him, and I'm probably one of those people that doesn't. So I don't watch his stuff. So I choose to what am I consuming now? Alex Mosey, Tony Robbins, Brendan Bouchard, Eric Thomas, which is a hip hop producer, the black audience will know a lot, and things like that, and pick out bits of not bits and bobs, bits out of each person, because I asked technology as well, okay, what's the similarities between all those 5 or 6? The 6th person, I can't remember who it is off the top of my head. Okay, now give me what makes them unique. And I probably similar more so to Brendan Bouchard, because he's very scientific, he's very meticulous, very slow with his pace. Whereas the Alex Moses is not that bad. He wears a white beater shirt and he's wealthy, so it doesn't conform to what you would think of
Right.
somebody that runs a 6, 7, 8-figure business. Whereas Tony, Eric, and who's the other one? They're quite loud. They're quite obviously they got what they say is impactful, but that's not me. So I don't want to be a facade of myself and be fake. As in, okay, I probably can be loud, but it's not authentic to be able to do it day in, day out. And I'll say the stereotypical American or Australian loudmouths. I'm generalizing. I'm not saying everybody's like that, but as in
No, I understand.
that
Yeah.
to almost make, well, what is it that's I can be myself and and then if people have to get a dictionary out from time to time, okay, that's okay. That's okay. No, but that's
It's
probably
true.
my upbringing as a single child. I was around a lot of adults, so I probably use bigger words than I do, put them in the wrong place sometimes, but
That's okay.
that's one of those things.
Well,
So
listen, James, actually, I was just realizing, and I
yeah,
hate to cut you off, but we've been like an hour and a half, 90 minutes. And I think for the sake of everybody,
I apologize.
um, no, it's like you said, we're in good company and it's easy to flow. What I'm going to suggest is that we do a take 2, a
Okay.
second part another day, where we're going to top up what we talked about and tap into those other 3 topics: mindset, which you did talk about today, meals, and movement. How does that sound to you?
That sounds perfect.
Okay, I am going to sign off. Everybody, James's information is going to be in the show notes. And the book, the Celestine Prophecy that I've referred to, will be in there. We're gonna have James give us a couple of links that we can add to it as well for the binary beats, so we can tap into that. So he's gonna share with me his favorite YouTubes or wherever, and I'm gonna share that with everybody on the show notes. Is there anything you'd like to say, James, to help sign off before we end today's podcast?
I say this so much, so I'll say it again. I think people need to challenge their limiting belief. They need to look where either the language is coming from to the way that they think, and not necessarily allowing them to be defined by it, and having the no judgment. This is obviously more difficult, but as in to look and have that awareness to be able to look at the way that you're talking to yourself, because if it was coming from somebody else, you wouldn't tolerate it. So to be able to challenge the way that you think, the way that you believe, and ultimately what we're talking about, limiting beliefs, to see where they're coming from and to work past some of that.
I couldn't agree more. Pushing past. Oh, sorry. Here's what I was pushing past your limiting beliefs is the hardest thing that you can do. And with that, how many times do you talk to yourself as if you're talking to a friend? And we don't. We would never say to our friends some of the own conversation that we have going on through our minds. So with that being our final takeaway, again, I want to give sincere gratitude and thanks to James. You'll have all of his contact information in the show notes. And thank you so much for being a part of today's episode.
Oh, it's been my absolute pleasure.